It's the Sennheiser HD800s, and if I'm honest, I'm pretty sure I've been avoiding this headphone since I got deep into this hobby. If you are interested in headphones or are in this hobby, you have undoubtedly heard of this headphone. It is a benchmark. It is on everyone's top this list, must try that list, must own. I mean, it is a well-established player in the industry, and my impressions of other Sennheisers I've tried have not been super favorable, not because I don't think they're very good. They're often very, very good, but they're just, I don't fall in love with them for one reason or another. And so I was sort of afraid to try these because either I would love them and it would shatter the earth beneath me, or they would, be exactly what I suspected they would be, and then I would feel smug, and that's not good either. So what are these? I tried to put everything aside and really just go in, open ears, open mind, and just sort of really try to give these guys a fair shake. And I came away in a different place than I thought I might. So, these have been talked about a lot, so I won't go into too much background detail, but I will say the build is noticeable when you pick them up. They kind of got a little jiggle to them, but everything is really precisely assembled. I like the headband assembly a lot. They feel really light on the head. They almost feel like they're floating on your head. Of course, they have the friggin' terrible Sennheiser proprietary plugs. I think these are proprietary. That's like the ones on the 600 series drive me insane. These only drive me insane because I have no cables that will fit them. I'm sure you guys have heard me rant about that before. But yeah, I mean, you kind of put them on, and I like this sort of slightly unintuitive shape. It's helpful that they have the right and left on there, because you do pause the first time you hold them. You're like, wait, which goes forward? I also think this is kind of cute, the little Sennheiser logo embossed on the inside of the eardrum. Tons of space in here. And space is the name of the game with these headphones. Everyone has talked about how big and open the soundstage is, and that's 100% right. That's what you get when you put these on. They have this nice broad soundstage. They image really well. You can really pick things out and sort of understand them in space, and it's all kind of happening around your head, and it's great. Detail is super well defined. It's very dimensional. It's very tactile. It's got really good edge definition. They're nimble. They've got sort of good acceleration and velocity. They get big stuff jumps out at you, and it's got a lot of movement to it. I really enjoyed percussion on these. Any drum solos or heavy percussion oriented songs, there's just this snap, you can feel the snap off the drum skin, and it's exciting. And when it gets really fast, it's really fun. And what's very cool is that you can be having you can be listening to a track that's got some very aggressive percussion, that's deep and drawing your attention, but then there's still also a lot of room for other things happening, little guitar twangs or little sparkly bits. Again, sort of space and separation are kind of the name of the game. That's the party trick for these, for sure. They kind of, there's enough room and air between everything, kind of always, and it's kind of remarkable. It's kind of addictive. It's really fun to go back to tracks you're familiar with and sort of get to go through them in this way. So the signature is kind of unsurprisingly, it's clean and tidy. It's a bit restrained, honestly. It's a bit stiff maybe for me. It lacks a little bit of fluidity. It's a bit dry for my taste. I think, I don't know, analytical is kind of a dangerous word, because it's are these truer than other things? Not necessarily, but the tuning is such that it feels like it's meant to take things apart a little bit and to extract detail and to spread it out in space. And sort of in doing that, it loses a bit of kind of fluidity and romance for me. So it's still left me a little bit cold, even though I was responding pretty positively to a lot of attributes of it. But what I think is maybe the most interesting part is just how much this headphone changes depending on what's driving it. Every headphone I've listened to, you plug it into different amps, you're going to get a slightly different story from it. but the stories that you get from the HD800s as you move from one amp to another are really revealing. Like you really go like, oh wow, that's how that amp, like that's what coloring that amp brings to it. And while one strategy for a headphone nerd might be to get an amp they really love and then get a couple of different headphones, another strategy might be to get these and then get a couple of different amps. Both are equally insane, but people who listen to this stuff and love this stuff are a little bit kooky, myself included. So I tried this on a bunch of different amps. You know, the more like clinical oriented solid state stuff that I have that makes things really separated, well, then it was just separation on separation, and it got, you know, super sterile for me. It's like, yeah, I can't fault you, all the details, right? It's there, but it's like, ugh. And then the more tubey stuff was my preference with this. Like they got a little, like actually my favorite pairing was the Deckware CSP3, which is a tube, it's an OTL, so it's like an OTL headphone amp, and you can also use it as a preamp. But I mostly use it as a preamp to control speaker amps. But it's also got a OTL headphone stage on it, and that, like, I haven't found a ton of great pairings for that. It's just very sweet. It can get a little like sappy, but since the H800 is so good at sort of bringing clarity and detail and separation, the two were kind of, for me, a very nice match. Now, did it show off all of the depth of separation and super huge soundstage that this headphone is capable of? Not as much, but it was a compromise for me that made sense and ended up with a really nice pairing where you got sparkle, you got detail, but you also got some more richness and fluidity and warmth in the sound. So that was kind of a cool, when I landed on that, I was like, you know what, I could actually be pretty happy with this combination. So yeah, anyway, that's the deal. These guys, they're cool. They're definitely impressive. You know, I guess at the end of it, it's like, I feel like sort of what I expected is true. But I was also got woken up to some pretty nice aspects of these, and I definitely understand why a lot of people would like to have this headphone and why it would, be the right way for them to go in this hobby. How about that? I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I've not sparked too much hate mail from that one. I don't think so, though. Anyway, if you found this at all useful, I doubt it. This one was a super ramble. But if you found this at all useful or anything else on the channel, go ahead and subscribe. More fun stuff on the way, including a review of that CSP3 that I mentioned. All right, this is Signcraft.